so that's kind of something. But the people from the lodge were expected to be here because there really weren't any other places to eat, weren't they? And obviously we needed the food better revenue. It didn't cost much for food, you know, but they needed everybody who would eat here to do that. And the breakfast was from 8 to 9, lunch was from 12 to 1, and dinner was from 6 to 7. And there were always, as we all knew, always the people who would come in 5 minutes before it was going to close. And so now you were there for another hour. Because when I started working here in 54, we were still wearing the uniforms that they had been wearing in the earlier years. We had to be in one uniform, and they were cotton, and they had to be washed and ironed. They're white, because obviously they had to be washed with teenage girls, hot summer day, carrying heavy trays. You only wear that once. And so by first year, we still were wearing those cotton uniforms. But by second year, we got wonderful white nylon uniforms, crinkling nylon, with a little green trim, and you wash them and you hang them up. And then you retry by the next day. It was a great innovation. And then, of course, they only had a few years before they closed the banning hall. So, maintaining your uniform and being on time, and arriving at 7:30 in the morning to set up for breakfast, and walking into the walk-in icebox on a cold, rainy June morning. That was not your favorite Christmas, not anybody's favorite thing to do. We served two choices of an entree and dinner. There was a meat or a fish. And if it was a popular one, ran out. And so often the cook would just cook whatever she had left, because then some people who came in to dinner late were not thrilled. But the cooks were excellent. That was the thing. The Trudenis, when Chicago schools, at least, I don't know other places, had cooks. They cooked real food from, recipes on stoves, things. It's Wharton Food Visit. And so the food was excellent. And the pastry cook, Mrs. Rice, was a wonder. Now, she would come in at 6:30 in the morning, and it was in the back room, which doesn't exist anymore. It was back here. And she had a wood-burning cast iron stove. Had many levels because she's cooking for a whole lot of people, so she couldn't just cook like I do at home. Who was it? It was Beza Belknap, who told me that his father, Tony, had to come in at 4:30 in the morning to get that stove fired up and ready to burn. So I figured he had a much harder one. But anybody who ate any of the orange bread here, that was Mrs. Rice's recipe. And I was very happy that I could make that. One of the things we had to do, and we had to do it actually the whole time I was working there, was what they always done, that the dishwasher washed the heavy stuff, the pots and pans and the plate. But the waitresses washed the glasses and the silverware. And that was another reason for not loving people who came at the last minute, because if you're standing here, you're 15 years old, the sun is shining, you want at least to have a little time on the beach, and a family at 6 comes in at 1 o'clock, which means they're going to get served, they will eat, they're cleared away, and then you have to wash their glasses and silverware. And so it wasn't with discipline, I guess. But I would like to know if there are things that you would like to know in addition to what I think you should. Yes.
What's the lodge?
The lodge was, do you know where Potluck Place is? Okay. It's kind of, imagine this is Pilgrim Place. Okay. And the lodge was right here. The upper end of what had the upper of sports. But I know those people. There was a woman who every morning, you know, the alternates had 7 o'clock breakfast, and so every morning, at 8 o'clock, and every morning at 7:30 while we were setting up, she's marching down the beach. It didn't matter how cold it was, and she was really old. She was probably nearly as old as I am. But that's what I thought. At least she's exactly. But she kept her bathing hat on, and it didn't matter what the weather was. She lived at the lodge, arched at the beach, have her swim. She'd go back to the lodge and change and come in here and have her breakfast. Yes. So
You were pretty covered.
yes.
And
Yes, it had been in Clintus, the site of the scene room. I don't know what became of it either. It was up there. I'm sorry. The question was the cast iron stove, was it in what later became known as the teen room? And for anybody who was a teen at the time, and there was that. And this thing, it is how thought entirely, so that you might be getting balloon there. It didn't. Just like Mike was asking the other day, where if the bathrooms were here, where were the bathrooms? And there was a door right opposite the display case here, but a door and steps that went down to a bathroom, you know, and I then went out to the outside and he actually took a picture on the outside. The door has all been finished on the inside, then they just painted over the door and has. Any other questions? Because it was in this current job, to get the boys worked as dishwashers or in the gas station, and the girls worked in the dining hall, and I was kind of, or else on the water truck. But it was, the food was good, and the people were just always friendly. You know, after church on Sunday, there were going to be Sunday dinners, chicken and resummit. And yes.
what spots?
Yes, people who weren't in the lodge could come here, and they were encouraged to come here, but that didn't mean people didn't eat out that much. And they really didn't have, I think, in these days when people seem never cooked at home, and you know, for a long time we had a kerosene stove at our lodge. It's still at the meals are cooked, and so it was a special deal for Eagle Crust. Yes.
Since 13, you still go to
Oh, I see. We had breakfast. Breakfast was from 8 to 9 on Sunday, and then everything closed up here. Everybody went to church. Those of us who were waitresses left with the children were going to Sunday school, and during the second hymn, they came over here to set up, and that was just kind of the expectation.